and I'm going to talk to you guys today about my thesis, which is Rhetoric, Risk, and Reputation. It's the impact of destabilizing policy rhetoric on international students' intentions to study in the United States. So, introduction, basically, international student enrollment in the United States has declined recently, year over year. And we wanted to look into what were the reasons why international students were, seeking not to come to the U.S. One of the big reasons, of course, we thought was the destabilizing rhetoric that was coming out of from some of the U.S. leaders. And so we also wanted to draw on uses and gratifications theory, which basically states that individuals seek out media to get a better understanding of information or a better understanding of certain policies. And we looked into that, and we looked into the purpose of the point of looking into this. Now, one of the main reasons is that with international students declining to come to the United States, that's um, billions of dollars that's lost, not just from the international students who come to the United States to study. It also means that we lose that amount of workforce from international students. We lose their ability to come to the United States and then go back to their home countries and, uh, talk about the United States in a positive light, which would therefore hurt the United States' soft power around the globe. Um, so again, our first problem is destabilizing rhetoric and democratic backsliding, or even the destruction of established traditions and institutions, directly damages the U.S.'s national image. And then second problem um, is when political rhetoric is is disorganized. International students could see that as the United States as a whole uh, is disorganized and doesn't have the act together. Current literature talks a lot about things like visa policies, COVID-19. There was uh, costs have been different factors, but nothing specifically talked about, or not. There wasn't a lot of literature about destabilizing political rhetoric. So that's something that we wanted to look into with my study. Some of the key concepts, again, we looked at the reasons behind the enrollment trends, and we looked into the uses and gratifications theory, again, which assumes that individuals uh, actively look for the specific gratifications from the media that they choose. This gets away a little bit from previous theories, such as the needle theory, which states that individuals are pumped at the media that they look for, but instead, this is actually talks about how individuals actively seek out this media. And so, one of the things that we looked into with our study, um, we looked into these research questions. In what ways do international students utilize media to gather information about U.S. policy rhetoric concerning immigration and experiences of international students? And then how does the exposure to destabilizing policy rhetoric shape international students' perceptions of the United States as a desired study destination? Um, the hypotheses we looked into, again, increased exposure to destabilizing policy rhetoric is associated with lowered perceptions of is lower perceptions of desirability of the United States as a study destination, and the media gratifications related to safety and emotional reassurances will shape perceptions around international educational policies in the U.S. and will affect students' intentions to enroll. So basically, we wanted to know what were the specific intentions that were keeping students from seeking to come study in the United States now. And our methodology, we used cross-sectional mixed methods, research design to examine how exposure to political rhetoric influences international students' perceptions of the United States. We used quantitative and qualitative uh, questioning in a survey that was sent out. We used snowball sampling and mixed method throughout the survey. And we got some really great feedback from the survey participants. Um, some of the, and again, we did have some limitations. Again, um, we only had a relatively small sample size. About 57 respondents responded back to the survey. But the information that we got back from those 57 individuals was really rich data and a lot of great takeaways that we got from them. But one of the big takeaways that we found was that individuals stated that the destabilizing policy rhetoric wasn't specifically the reason why they had decided, maybe not to study in the United States. They still felt that the United States was a great place to come and study, and the risk outweighed the rewards outweighed the risk of coming to study in the United States. But they did state that that they did use uses and gratification theory, so that they did look into the specific media, specifically social media, to find out the risk of coming to study in the United States. So again, part of our hypotheses was correct, that they do use uses and gratifications theory and do search out certain media to get an idea of what it's like to study in the United States, but the actual destabilizing policy rhetoric didn't keep them away from wanting to study. They still had the intentions to study, but they also understood that there was risk that were involved. And again, some of the themes that we got back from individuals was that they've heard of the different struggles that other international students have dealt with, but they still felt like the United States, the benefits outweighed those specific risks. Um, Recommendations for further research, I would just recommend a bigger sample size. And again, future researchers should also investigate potential mediating variables, including uncertainty, belonging, and trust in institutions, perceptions of safety. The current findings suggest that these variables may play important roles in explaining how political rhetoric influences educational decision making in the future. Thank you. That was all I had.